Hey guys, it's Bina, and this was a request that I've had from people commenting on my videos and also on my Twitch channel and chat. How do you set up your stash tab to be efficient? And, just people looking at my stash tab, they kind of liked it and how it was all properly set up. So I'm just going to make a quick video about this. So I've already made some previous videos in previous seasons about my stash, but I think there are a few changes that come to mind when presenting my stash on this season. So let's go first. First of all, I have a dump tab. Okay, let's talk about how I organize it. Organized by categories, and then there's going to be tabs inside of those categories. I have one for each class. I have some for legendaries, exalted items, unique items, sets, idols, and then Rune of Ascendance. This is something that I usually sometimes do, but I found that using Rune of Ascendance, even in COF, is not worth your time to even do it on red rings, for example. So I'm not going to do that. But let's go over how to set it up first. If you're completely fresh, straight out of the box, you don't have any stash tab whatsoever. Let's say, for example, that you are a new player. What you would want to do is start by doing the categories, right? When you open up your stash, it's going to look like this. Now, at the complete right of your top row, there's going to be a plus sign. When you click on the plus sign, it's going to create a new category, and then you can set all of those categories first. They don't cost any gold. The only gold that it costs is going to be creating a new tab, right? So you can set all of your categories first to make sure they're all in the proper order, and you don't have to rearrange them afterwards. But if you do, you can just drag and drop them over the top here. And then you can name them, give them a color, give them an icon if you want, right? So I'm just going to delete this category. But this is how you would do it. You would create all of your categories, and let's go over them first. You would create the dump category, which is going to be stash tabs that when you open up your stash, you automatically spawn there, and then you just drop your items in here by using shift right click. If you shift right click, it automatically goes into either if a tab has a priority, an affinity, or it will go into the stash tab that you are in if that specific tab is completely full. So that is going to be your dump tab. And you know that when you're emptying your inventory really quickly, if something goes in the tab that you are currently in, that means that the tab it's supposed to go into is full. So we're going to go over how to actually manage that afterwards, but that is something that is good to know. So your first categories are going to be dump tabs. In these ones, you don't have any affinity to do. There are a few ones that I put in here as well. I have an imprint tab, which you can put anywhere. I just put it in my dump tab here, but I should make a category for this probably. My imprint tab, I manually select items that I put in here, so it has no affinity whatsoever. The color that I used is this one. And this is the tab that I will use to imprint items, the items that I want to have available for imprinting on any character. So you want to try to keep one of each type of item at least for imprinting, right? So I'm keeping a few of them in here. Next, I have a leveling tab, which contains my leveling setups. Also, this one is always manually put by drag and dropping from my inventory like this. These are my leveling setups. So if I want to level a new character, I go in my leveling tab, I just grab all of my leveling setup, and then I can start blasting right away. The next tab that I have, the next category, I call Turtle. Turtle is this Woven Echo here, which is the Farsight Turtle. That one lets you change legendary potential items into potentially higher LP items. If it fails, it will go down to 0. So that one, I set it up in this way so that I select the uniques that I want, right? So you click the tab priority, you select all of the uniques that you want to have in there. So the ones that you might want to like try to get very high LP on. And then I set it for a certain legendary potential. So I have items with 1 LP. I'll do 1 minimum legendary potential to 1 maximum. This will ensure that all of the items that I selected only go in this tab if they have 1 LP. So all of the 1 LP ones, I can quickly go in the Turtle. I know these are all 1 LP. I just grab them all like this. And then I can just start putting them in the Turtle. And then see if I get extra LP. I have the same thing for 2 LP items. I just like separating them by LP. So for 2 LP, you would do 2 minimum and 2 maximum, right? Still, you select all of the uniques. I like separating them by LP so that I know which ones I'm going to be trying to upgrade. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, this is my turtle tab, 2 LP, but I might want to try and look for certain roles, but only on the 2 LP ones, like 19 here. Intelligence is pretty good. And then if you want to do something else, like Ballista, for example, I just started a new Ballista character. So now on this one, I selected only like the 2 uniques that I kind of want in here for now. So it's going to be Uratran Stand and Zuriel's Hunt. And then those I'm just going to put in the turtle whenever I do them. Same thing goes for here. You can set the amount of legend potential. This one at 1 to 2, because both of these items I want to have at 3 LP. So that is what I do for the turtle. And the color that I use was this one here. Now, now we've got the Nemesis egg. So Nemesis egg is if you have an item with 0 LP that you want to try to get LP on, it has a chance to upgrade into LP, and it also has a chance to upgrade into legendary affixes. So in here, I will just select all of the uniques that I want with 0 to 0 legend potential. I make sure that this is not the same, you know, the same items that go in the turtle will go in here. So these are only 0 LP items, and I will just spam them in the turtle when I am running my Conquered Towers Woven Echoes. One thing to note is when you open your stash, it opens up on a default tab. If you create new tabs, it will then default to that specific tab. And if you want to have one specific tab that it opens up, you can set it up by pressing the sort button. I'm just going to move my camera here so I can show you guys. But at the bottom here, there is a sort button. If you click this and sort the tab, it will default to that tab when you open it up. So that is something that you can do if you want to open up your tab always on a certain tab while creating new ones. Another little thing is that if you are creating tabs in certain categories like this and you want to duplicate something, let's say that, for example, that I have my turtle stash tab, right? So I want to get, maybe this one is completely full and I don't want to go over and select all of the uniques again. Let's just move this again. I don't want to select all the uniques manually again. There's a new function since season 3, which is duplicate the tab. So this will duplicate it with all of the selected priorities and everything, the color, the icon. It will just duplicate it for you, and it will put it in the proper category. That's what I did here. I've started with 1 tab for the turtle. You don't have much gold early on. And then, oh, this is full. I'm going to make a new one. Boom, you right click, duplicate, and the second tab will appear next to it. So that is something that it's pretty important to know. So now that we've talked about the Nemesis tab, yeah, same thing. You select the uniques, 0 forging potential. That is how I do it. And so you can see that I have a lot of tabs. Of course, if you want to add more items along the way, you will have to add them all manually to each and every one of those tabs if you want all of them to have the correct priority. Next thing that I do is prime list. The prime list color in this game, well, I mean, I don't really know if it's in this game, but like for me, it's green. What I do is I select all of the idols, right? I select all of the idols and I put a class requirement primalist. And I put this in my primalist tab. What this does is that every single idol that is specifically for primalist will go here. Since my loot filter is pretty strict, I don't find that many. And then I can manually put some items that I want to use on some of my primalist builds in here. Same thing for Sentinel, right? Sentinel, you select all of the idols and then you do the class requirement Sentinel to the right here. And I select the yellow color here. Mage, the same thing. Mage is going to be this blue color. For the rogue, I selected the red color here. The same thing here. The only thing you do is the idols and then the class requirements rogue. Acolyte, same thing. Acolyte, I selected this color here, which seems to be color that resembles the most the Acolyte. So these are like thematic with every single class in the game. Next up, we have legendary. So the legendaries, they're pretty easy to do. You do rarity, legendary, and then you select this red color here, which is the same as the rogue one. you could try to differentiate them if you want to. This one is really nice. I keep a lot of legendaries that I drop from Nemesis. I don't waste too much time looking at them, but if a tab gets full, I have a pretty hefty amount of gold. I'll just create a new legendary tab. And you never know when you want to create a new build. Maybe you already have a legendary that is available to you with some correct stats. But this is just like, you know, something I like to do. Next, we have all of the exalted items. So this one I separate by... Okay, weapons I used to separate by each type of weapon, but I found it to be way too difficult to manage and way too expensive on gold. So I just do all the weapons, right? And then I just duplicate the tabs whenever I need more. And especially with this patch, since we have like some opportunities to search, some better search function with regex, which I'll go over afterwards, I will be able to search very easily for any weapon that I want. So for the weapons, what I do is I select the types, right? I select all of the weapon types, one-handed weapon and two-handed weapons. And I also do rarity exalted. The color that I use is this one here. And then whenever I fill up a tab, I'll just create a new one by using the duplicate function, which is always going to put me with more exalted and weapons. So it's very, very easy to keep track of. And whenever I want to search for a bow, for example, I can just type in bow and I know, okay, in these are the bows that I have, and I can just look for them. I'll go over some like nice little functions with the search function afterwards at the end of this explanation. So I do the same thing for helmets. Helmets, I just select type, armor, helmet, and then I select this one, this color, and exalted. Same thing for body armor. Body armor, it's going to be the type, armor, body armor, exalted, this color. So I do the same for every one of these. The belts, the boots, the gloves, the offhands. Offhands include quite a few ones, right? Because there is the catalyst, the shield, and the quiver. Of course, you can always decide to organize this in the way that you want. This is the way that I prefer to do it. And I've been having a lot of success sorting my stash like this. Rings, the same thing, amulet and relics. A little tip for ring as well. I include this in all of the maxwell filters, but there is a rule that says show tier 7 rings and amulets. The main reason this is there is because you never know when you want to change builds and have another ring that already has a tier 7 of the proper affix that you want, so that you don't have to waste some very valuable runes of havoc or runes of redemption. So they don't take much space, and you don't find that many. After a couple of days, a couple of weeks, maybe you want to disable that rule. But early on, it's very nice to have like a lot of tier 7 rings to mess around with. So that is why I do this. So I'll fill up one entire tab, and then I will disable my rule and just open up another tab and only look for multi-exalts at that point. And then we have amulets, relics, same thing. Next, my next category is going to be idols, the unique idols. It's important to keep the unique idols above the small idols, because if not, when you put in your Harbinger Needle, they will go in your wrong tab. So the order I put them in these categories has an impact. The idols, what I do is select the type. I select all of the idol types, and then I do rarity unique, and I select this color. For my Weaver's Will item, what I will do is go for 0 legend potential, 0 to 0, and then 1 minimum Weaver's Will with no maximum. And I will select the same color as the uniques. This will ensure that all of my Weaver's Will item go in here. For 4 LP, pretty simple. I go with unique, 4 to 4 LP, and then I use the same color. Same for 3 LP, go unique, 3 and 3, and then use the same color. Same for 2, same for 1 LP, and then 0 LP, I will go into unique, 0 to 0, and the same color as well. So that covers all of your uniques. Again, you can use a search function when you want to search for them. For the sets, I do rarity set, and that's pretty much it. Keep in mind that any item that you craft a set affix on it is going to be stored in here, because even these are considered set items. And as you can see here, I was probably in this tab and my other tab was completely full. So these kind of like got messed up. So I will go into my dump tab. I make sure to always empty my stash in my dump. Boom, boom, boom. So I know that if the item goes in here, something is wrong with my stash tab and it's probably full. Next, we have these small idols. Small idols here, you to type idols, only the small ones. And the reason why I separate them is because small idols, minor idols, humble idols, and stout idols, they all have different resistances and stats that they can possibly have. So I don't put them all in the same one. The color that I use is this one, and you don't have to do anything else. This one is just small idols with this color. Same thing for this one. Type idols, minor idol, and I use this color. Same thing for humble idols, same thing for stout idols. So that covers the placement of the tabs and what color I am using for each one of these categories. Now let's go into something that you can search with the quick view here. If I type in, if I want to say, for example, I want to find a double tier 7, I will do 2T7. And this is going to be all of my double tier 7 items that I have, right? Double tier 7 this one, double tier 7 this one. Keep in mind that it also searches for the sealed affix. So this one has like tier 7, tier 6, and a sealed tier 7. I don't know all of the functions that this can do, but these are the ones that I use the most. So 2T7, you could do 3T7 if you want. I don't have a single one of those. But let's say I want to find a 2T7, then I do slash, and maybe I do something like dagger, and I do another slash. So this will show me all of the items that have double tier 7, and also searches for dagger in the stash. So it will find me this one. It will find me, well, I'm not sure why it shows me these, actually, but it does find you. Wait a minute, why doesn't it find me the 2T7 daggers here? Well, guys, never mind this. There is a website though for this, which is, you can find some information on Last Epoch tools. Last Epoch tools here. You can find some of this information. I'm looking at this. I'm not quite sure where the information is on this website concerning the concerning these. But there is also another one. It's called Last Epoch, lastepoch.re, I think. Lastepoch.re. This one has a little bit of a search function here. I am not super familiar with how to search for all of these things. So if you want to mess around with it and try to figure out the regex with this website, go for it. The one that I use the most though is really, stuff like 2T7 when I'm searching for something that is double tier 7. That one works for sure. Or you can do T7 and T6. And so that one will show you the items that are tier 7 and tier 6. So that pretty much covers the how I set up my stash and how I search for certain items. The main thing that they've changed is the duplicate tab from last patch, and the 2T7 that was not searchable last patch either. That is amazing to do, especially if you are using imprints to like print out double tier 7. Hope you guys have a better time organizing your stash and figuring out how to get your items all organized like this, and get a good filter to filter out. You know, if your stash right now is all messy, get a good loot filter. Put all of your items on the ground. You can use shift right click to move them around, and if you shift right click from your inventory, not into your stash, it goes directly on the ground. So hope you learned something today, guys, and I'll see you guys all in